Hello, I'm Rob Arnold, Superintendent at Amherst County Public Schools, and today we're at River Edge Park here in Madison Heights, just next to the James River, and our 7th graders from Amherst Middle School are here today working on the annual James River Association project. And those students have access to canoeing in the river. They're going to learn about the ecosystem, they're going to learn about the watershed, they're going to learn about pollution in the river and how to avoid that and how to keep a healthy environment here. But really for us, it is about what we want to do with our children in Amherst County. We talk about making students life ready. And we don't believe that students can be life ready by sitting in a classroom and reading textbooks and answering worksheets and coming up with definitions. They need to take that information and they need to come out here and they actually need to get their hands on it. It needs to be relevant. They need to think critically about the things that they're learning and help solve problems like pollution in our rivers and certain things like that. And so that's why we're here today. That's why we think this is so important. That's why our relationship with the James River Association is so valuable, because it gives kids relevance in their learning and they become life-ready students. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. We're here with the James River Association at Rivers Edge Park, and this is part of our NOAA B-WET Grant, in which we're working with our 7th grade students. And so we have our 7th grade teachers here today, and they're paddling across the river right now, and we're going to do a macroinvertebrate search in a minute. So we're teaching people how to use the kayaks, then we're going to do the macroinvertebrate search, and we also have a group working, looking at the macroinvertebrates, learning about the river. So here's part of our education for the James River, and stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Rob Campbell, Senior Manager in our Upper James River Center for the James River Association. We're happy to take partnership with all of our local school districts here, with Amherst County and Lynchburg City Schools and some others up here, as well as our friends downstream in Surrey County, to take place in this NOAA B-WET Grant. It's such an amazing thing to get kids out on the water. One of my favorite things is taking folks that have grew up by the river their whole life or grown up in the area and get them out on a resource that they've never been on before, even though it's right in their backyard. Teaching these kids how to kayak is one of the most rewarding things. Seeing people come in with absolute zero experience and leave out of here with some knowledge and actually pretty capable in these kayaks. It's pretty impressive how fast these kids can progress in the time that we have with them on the river. When we take them out, we go and look for some macroinvertebrates while we're out on the river, and when we're looking for those, we're trying to gauge the health of the river. All those little critters that we're finding down there, each one of them scores differently when it comes to being able to live in polluted water. So those critters that we find there are able to tell us the health of the water, and we're telling those kids all about that and why we're looking for these specific critters. And two, we're looking at the health of the river in the long term. Where we find these critters living in the river, they've been there for a long time. And that's the lesson that we want to try and instill with the kids, is the James is a improving river. Still got work to do, but it's been improving for a long time. So we've got a lot to be proud of. So with this program, we're just going to be getting kids involved more and more on being on the river, showing them ways to bring themselves back to the river, their family, their friends, to come back and enjoy it some more on into the future, so that they'll be there to help protect this resource. This is a very, very important resource that goes all the way down to the Chesapeake Bay to help keep that restored as well. So proud for the work we do.
Hey, I'm Kendall Jewell. I'm an educator here at the James River Association. I love being able to teach these kids about the concepts they're learning in the classroom because we're out in the field. Things are a lot more dynamic out here. We are learning about food webs and food chains specifically for the upper James River. The lower James River students will be doing the same thing with animals in their area. So we're going to be coming together and seeing how things are different there. And we've also got watersheds out here. So we're learning about watersheds using fun activities and games. And it's a lot different from learning about it in a book or through lecture, because when you really see it, you can see what defines it and how it's different from what's on the paper.
I go to Amherst Middle School, and today I learned about what lives in the river and the food chain and how the animals survive in the wild.
Hello, my name is Logan Birch. I'm in 7th grade and I go to Amherst Middle School. I learned that the different parts of the watershed and how they connected and stuff. It's pretty cool how this river is very clean.
My name is Tommy Carver. I'm in the 7th grade and I go to Amherst Middle School. We learned about how the watersheds connect to the rivers, and we learned about the states that are in the watershed of the Chesapeake Bay.
Hey everybody, I'm Todd Mosley. I'm an environmental educator here at JRA, and excited to be working with Amherst Middle School today and this week on our NOAA B-WET Grant. And it's great to get these kids out here to have them learn a little bit about the river that's in their own backyard, and looking forward to making the PSA that'll our mountain Amherst County kids will be able to tell our kids in Hopewell and Surrey about their river, which is technically the same river, but it's so different up here in the mountains in Amherst than it is down there in the tidewater in Hopewell and Surrey. That it'll be a cool experience for the kids to kind of have an exchange talking about the same river.
My name is Resley. I'm in the 7th grade and I go to Amherst Middle School.
I'm Madison Alden and I'm in the 7th grade and I go to the same school as her.
I learned that microinvertebrates actually do not have any spines. I think it's really cool how you can go by diagrams to figure out which microorganism is what it is. Something that could be improved is that there are a little bit more of a different variety of different bugs that you could look at. But overall, it has been great so far.
I've learned a lot actually. There's a lot of different types of bugs, and I find it very interesting that these scientists had to go through a lot of work to find what they had, what they did, and all the other bugs that are in this place.
Hey everybody, I'm Schroeder with the James River Association. I'm the lead educator down here at the Lynchburg office. We get to have all of the Amherst 7th grade come down this week, where we get to do 3 different stations where they get to learn how to kayak, they get to do a watershed lesson, and they get to do live macroinvertebrate testing. This is a great week for all of us because our overarching goal for this is to really create the next generation of environmental stewards, and this is the best way that we could possibly do it. We're very excited.
It's really cool to see all the kids out here on the gravel bar to go from seeing these macroinvertebrates that look like spooky water centipedes that they don't want anything to do with, to us telling them a little bit about it and being comfortable holding them or even letting them crawl in their hands. So it's really neat to kind of show these kids how they can be environmentally literate and how they can be the next generation of protectors of this river and our ecosystem.
Thank you for watching our featured program. The program shows Amherst County Public Schools' effort to innovate our science and curriculum programs to offer deeper learning opportunities for students, where they apply learned skills to real-life experiences. This innovation to Amherst County Public Schools science curriculum was made possible through the joint partnership with the James River Association. The James River Association works to educate citizens on the health of the James River by promoting conservation and responsible stewardship of its natural resources. The James River is a significant water source that flows through Amherst County. In addition, all the streams in Amherst County flow into the James River. It's important that our students are educated to take responsibility to maintain its health and conservation. So here in Amherst County, we have programs designed to get our students involved in the natural resources studies. So one thing we have is our Trout in the Classroom project. Our Trout in the Classroom project is in all schools in Amherst County. We get eggs from the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources in the fall, usually in October, and we put those in our schools, and the students and teachers in those schools raise those eggs into trout. We usually about April, we take those trout that they've raised and we stock them into Peddler River on some private property in the Peddler River. Third graders there, and they do biotic water sampling, in which they look for the insects and macroinvertebrates that live in the water and identify those insects, and then use that to determine the water quality of the Peddler River. In middle school, we also have a project in which we were working with the James River Association, and we have a NOAA B-WET Grant, which this is part of this video you've seen earlier today, in which the students do the biotic water quality sampling down to James River. They also learn the aspects of what you saw in the video. But then in the winter and spring, we're also going to bring those students in, and they're going to design and develop a program in which they identify problems with the river, and they have to develop a plan to solve that problem. And then we're going to present our issues that we have here in Amherst County with those in Surrey and Hopewell. Because part of this B-WET grant is a 3-division B-WET grant that we have that covers us, Surrey, and Hopewell. And these students will work together on these projects, and then in the spring, we'll present our information to them, and they'll present their studies to our students. They can all see how what we do here in Amherst County impacts Hopewell, and what Hopewell does impacts Surrey, so they can kind of get a big picture of what the James River ecosystem is about, from the upper James to the lower James. At the secondary level, at the high school level, our biotool ecology classes and environmental science classes, those students will also do biotic and abiotic water quality samplings on the James River. Again, we're here at the Old Mill Park here in Amherst today, but here at Rutledge Creek, we have some issues of sedimentation and other things here in this part of the county. So they're going to design a feature here to look at what they can do to improve the water quality here at this park. And then we're going to work with the town of Amherst and present that information to the town of Amherst. At the end, we have a place where they can actually take what they've learned and apply that to real-world problems and design a study to fix some of these issues that are facing the James River watershed. So again, we thank you for your time. We hope you've enjoyed our program, and let's do our best to keep the James River clean. Thank you.